Hey guys, welcome to Cafe IO. Cafe IO में आपका स्वागत है. In this video, we'll talk about an interesting alternative to SQL. Yes, you heard it right. SQL has been the language for data for about, enough number of decades. Most people find SQL relatively easy and it's very widely adopted across different roles such as analysts, developers, and I know a lot of project managers who are very comfortable in SQL. Most people who do visualization, they also tend to naturally pick up SQL because of its simplicity and understanding. However, as we are growing towards data heavy operation, doing pipelines and complex transformations in SQL becomes really complex. Some people try to put that logic with ORMs and try to manage some of the data using object relationships. It works sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. There are use cases where that's not a great idea. Then there's a group of people who love procedures, and inherently in trying to do procedures, what we do is, put a lot of business logic into procedures and end up complicating the life of SQL, which is just not meant for. And then fundamentally comes the conversations of doing pipelines, right? You want to have one operation, then the next, and so on and so forth. And SQL isn't great for pipelines. So here's a tool or a product which somebody thought of, which could be a drop-in replacement for SQL. It's called PRQL, which is Pipelined Relational Query Language, and it's pronounced as prequel. So SQL and prequel. And they are calling it as a simple, powerful, pipelined SQL replacement. Now, I have my own thoughts about whether anything can replace SQL. I personally don't think anything can replace SQL, but I really liked the idea that this is preaching. And we'll get into a little bit of depths and try and understand why this tool could be really good. I think I stumbled upon this on reading a blog post somewhere in InfoQ, so do check that out. I'll try to put the link in the description. Right. So why PRQL? It's good for data engineers, good for analysts, great tool. And then there's Hacker News enthusiasts. Fundamentally, it's written in Rust. And I know there's a strong community which feels Rust is the best language, performance based and all of those good stuff. So let's try and look at some of the syntax bits that this is helping enable. So it's really simple. I think behind the scene, what they're doing on the website is showing both the pictures. So you could just say from employees, which is the table, and then you specify select, sort age, and take 10. And take 10 is really limiting, which is a weird way of putting limit. Again, I'm thinking in SQL, but writing PRQL, bear with me. Friendly syntax, I don't think this is friendly. I like my SQL better. But I do get a sense of how this is headed. Like from table, you are adding filters one by one, which are really great from a readability perspective. Long where conditions are really complex in SQL, and I've written a lot of SQL in my development days. And the way you are putting those filters is also very interesting. You can do sorting in a very clear direction. This great orthogonality, which is slicing through the data in a very neat way, doing good aggregations. The expressions are really good. You can drop in a lot of commas, hanging commas. You can use previous definitions, like if you have defined those variables. And I think some of this is possible in SQL also. One thing which I want to point is, even though SQL exists, rarely anybody uses the ANSI SQL of it. There's always a customized version, like Postgres will use PG SQL, Oracle will use, I think, Ora SQL or something like that. Could be wrong. IBM DB2 has different one. Microsoft SQL is also different. So everybody has made their own ways into of SQL, and what this has caused is this significantly large number of operations. And by operations, I mean really functions that you could use to make your data manipulations really away from each other. So if you, while it's easy to think it's SQL, sometimes people end up using native DB specific functions, and they are really hard to find a drop-in replacement for. So just wanted to call that out, that they're trying to solve that problem as well here. F strings, very interesting. You could just do URL like mappings like you would do in a programming language, and it will make your life easier. Windows operations are natural, which I really love. I think doing a partition by a column and then ordering by a certain month, setting a number of rows, trailing, doing order by rank, all of that is really, really complicated. Windows is really, really a good way to go, which is like a rolling window operation. You could do functions. I think that's something which I like incredibly good present in PLSQLs, but you can just let something to do a calculation and then you are doing the calculations on the fly, which is really, really good. You can do the similar stuff uh, probably in a complex way using joins and all that, but hey, this is much more simple. Top and by grouping is good. You can see how it has reduced the number of lines to very, very few. You can do search strings as well. There's no version specific, but as strings you can have embed SQL itself. Joins are also fundamentally easy here. You specify the type of the join side and all of that is very clear. Again, compared to a SQL, I think this looks like a concise, I would say, implementation. There's null handling inherently built, which is good. And then you can also do dialects, which is a little bit like top and all of that. Some principles before we go and take a deep dive into. Quick check if you have stuck till so far. Please subscribe my channel. Share this video with others. Like and comment if you would like to use this library, or if you already do, or if you would hate to use it. It's heavily pipeline. It's a linear pipeline of transformations, and I'll show what this really means. It's very, very simple. Essentially, each line is just carrying forward from the previous result. So you kind of know what is happening in your query and you're building it up, which I love coming from a SQL perspective. It's really hard in SQL to understand how the explain plan, which is the execution, is going to happen. This makes it really, really easy. So that logic building up exercise is very good. Very simple, open source, extensible, and really good for analytical queries. I think that's important. They are not talking about insert and transaction control. They are really, really emphasizing on analytical query. And it's important to understand that the priority is analytical queries. This is great for a certain kind of use case. It's not a drop-in replacement for inserts and all of that. That's not what they're showcasing it for. There's a video you can watch out, or you can just continue watching this video. You can connect to pretty much everywhere: VS Code, Jupyter Node, Postgres. I think you're set. There's a playground which I'll just hop on quickly, and you have also a compiler and all of that. There's lots of different bindings, and some people are really talking about it. All right, going to playground, there's essentially a database table that they have, and it says from invoice derive certain things, doing a subselecting, doing a further subselecting, doing a little bit of concat, coalesce, few joins, lots of filters, couple of group boys. This SQL query is, to me, fundamentally more complex, and I can actually read the PRQL better because I think sequentially. So I know that this is from tables. I'm deriving certain columns, which is column names, filtering on some values, grouping on certain columns, joining, deriving again. Here, after the second select, I'm kind of lost with the result set I had in mind, and I'll show you quickly how this is. So this is the final version that they have, which is customer ID, name, income, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's just start to remove piece by piece. And what you'll see is that, voila, this is just a plain simple select star query. So you just do from invoices and do some derivations in terms of columns, and it gives you the result. Then you paste it back and you will get it again. You take away some information. Sorry, I took away the indentation. I should not have done that. You get some sort of answers without grouping. So there's limited grouping happening here. I think it's grouping at CT level. Aggregation is happening at income and CT level, which should also be visible here, but it's kind of difficult for me to understand here because it's only grouping by customer ID. And ideally, you shouldn't be grouping by ID column. I'm a little confused as to what's happening here, but that's okay. And then you put the rest of the stuff and it'll give you. So this is the best part to it. It's showing you the entire pipeline and all of that, and you can see the results. very progressively. You can try different columns here. They'll give you different examples and you can play with it. Different kind of query examples. Like if you just do this from albums, it will give you the select star. You just say limit take 10, it will limit 10. You could say group by, and it's not taking that relationship, it's giving me error. So I don't want to screw it up because I don't know this column name itself. So yeah, that's what this tool is fundamentally doing. So inherently, this is a great replacement if you're looking for something which can work good for your analytical queries, and you could give it a shot. I'm not sure how parallelizable this is, what's the engine behind the scenes, but it has, sorry, I forgot to share, a crazy high number of GitHub stars, which is almost 9.1K. It's like updated really frequently, and they are really talking about some of these stuff in a lot of tech circles. So if you're looking for another tool to power your analytics queries, do chip in and take a look at this. It might help you out. All right, with that, this is Akash signing off. Bye-bye.